Yeah, so sustainability on these projects is always a big issue. And because this has been a research project, there is a finite, and so it ends this year basically. And then there's a question for what you do. So in our case, we're probably transferring it back to the local authority, and then it will be up to them to work out how they want to try and maintain it. They might well give it to a contract to a company to. That's what they do with Dublin. So the open data portal is actually delivered by Dairy Links, which is a private company who's providing service to the city. And I imagine the dashboard will go that way as well. There'll be some kind of service level contract. Involved in other projects, big IT projects. So I was the kind of principal investigator on the digital repository of Ireland. It works, again, it has a lot of stakeholders. So the stakeholders are in that project are things like the National Library, the National Galleries, the National Museums, the National Television Radio Broadcaster, a whole series of small kind of galleries, archives, museums, and so on. So there's a range of different, so there's a national level repository for digital objects from those things. And again, it was a university funded project. So a handful of universities were funded to do that, and they were given 5 years. But it was a 100-year project with a 5-year budget. So once it got to the end of the 5 years, the question was, well, how does this thing get funded, and how does it become sustainable? The only way you can actually fund them is through government funding. You sell something, you can't sell the data. And so they're quite difficult to fund. It's a bit like a library. If you're going to lend the books for free, and it's the same thing with these digital repositories and these open data repositories, is they need resourcing. And you can do it in a way that's non-cyclical. And this is going to be the same thing with these city dashboards. Unless the city pays for them on an ongoing basis, they won't be sustainable. Like, they can't be sustainable. It's there's labor costs, there's server costs, there's other costs, and they're real costs. Open data is free, but free to use, but not free to make.